Let's be real for a second. When you stop texting her, she's not just confused, she's shaken to the core. Most guys think that women don't care about the absence of messages or attention, but the truth is, it hits harder than you could imagine. Women are wired to seek attention and validation. So when you pull back, don't make the mistake of thinking she's just going to forget about it. She'll notice and she'll feel it. Now, here's the real kicker. When you stop texting her, you suddenly become a mystery. And let me tell you, that's exactly what makes you more attractive. It's like hitting a reset button on the dynamic between you two. Women will start wondering why you're not reaching out, why you're not chasing her, and that's when things start to shift. But don't think it's all smooth sailing from there. Emotions are complicated. She'll be torn between curiosity and frustration. The thing is, most men are afraid of losing her, so they keep texting, chasing, and trying to keep the conversation alive. What they don't realize is that chasing a woman too much makes her feel trapped, and that's the fastest way to lose her interest. So by stopping the text, you're actually creating space for her to miss you, for her to wonder if she's losing you. But here's the controversial part. If you're constantly texting her without taking a step back, you're actually the one giving away your power. Women don't want to feel like you're desperate or needy. When you withhold your attention, it makes her want it more. The shift in communication can lead to deeper attraction because you're no longer the guy she can always rely on to answer right away. You've taken control, and she's going to feel that. So, in this video, we're diving deep into how she feels when you stop texting her, and what it means for the dynamic between you. Get ready to learn how to use this strategy the right way to keep her hooked and interested. 1. She'll think you've lost interest, but she'll be wrong. When you stop texting a woman, the first thing she'll think is that you've lost interest. It's a natural reaction. She's used to receiving attention from you, and when that stops, her mind starts racing. But here's the kicker. She's wrong. In reality, you're not losing interest. You're actually giving her the space to reflect on what she's been taking for granted. See, most women are used to having constant attention. When a man is always available, she starts to expect it. It's almost like she knows you're there, just a text away, ready to respond. You become a familiar constant. But when you stop texting her, that familiar constant is gone, and it throws her off balance. She starts wondering if she's done something wrong or if you're not as interested as you once were. Here's the interesting part. The more you pull away, the more she'll feel your absence. It's like she's now faced with a reality where you're not around as much, and she begins to question her own behavior. Did she take you for granted? Was she not showing enough interest? The questions swirl in her mind. She might even feel a bit guilty or insecure about how she acted when you were around. In truth, you're not playing a game. You're just allowing her to feel the emotional weight of what you provided. Think about it. When you're always texting, you're feeding into her need for constant validation and attention. By stepping back, you're making her realize how much she actually enjoyed having you around. Take this simple situation. Let's say you've been texting her all week and then one day you just stop. She waits for your text the next day and the day after, but it never comes. Eventually, she checks her phone repeatedly, hoping to see a message, but nothing. She starts to feel the empty space where your text used to be, and she wonders why the sudden silence. This absence makes her realize that she had been taking your communication for granted. She starts to miss the routine of hearing from you, and in some cases, it might even make her a little desperate for your attention. But here's the key. She's not desperate because you've stopped texting. She's desperate because she now knows what it feels like to lose it. So when she thinks you've lost interest, she's not entirely right. What you're doing is giving her space to miss you, to reflect, and to realize just how much your presence really meant to her. You're not just waiting around for her to reach out to you. You're allowing her to feel the gap you've left behind. And trust me, that gap is what will make her realize that she might just be losing something valuable. This strategy works, not because you're ignoring her, but because you're giving her the room to feel your absence. That's when she'll start to miss you in a way that will make her want to reconnect. 2. She'll panic, but it's not your problem when you stop texting her, Expect her to panic. It's not about you not caring. It's about her dealing with her own emotional reaction. Suddenly, she doesn't have your reassurance, your responses, or the validation she's used to. This panic doesn't have to be your problem, though. It's hers. At first, she might try to convince herself that it's no big deal. She might tell herself that you're busy or that it's just a phase, and maybe that's true for a day or two. But as the days go on, doubt starts creeping in. She'll start questioning, why hasn't he reached out? Did I do something wrong? Is he really busy, or is he losing interest? That panic can hit hard. For many women, the absence of communication is a clear signal that something's off. You stopping your usual text routine isn't just an inconvenience to her. It creates a sense of insecurity. She'll wonder what you're doing, who you're talking to, or if you're emotionally disconnecting from her altogether. But here's where it gets interesting. This panic? It's her problem, not yours. You are not responsible for the emotional turmoil she's going through when you stop texting her. When you're always available, you're feeding her emotional need for constant reassurance. But by stepping back, you're actually giving her the chance to self-reflect and to experience the consequences of her own actions or inaction. You might think she'll start to chase you or reach out to you, but that's not the real reason why she'll panic. It's not just because she misses you, but because she starts to see that her world doesn't revolve around your attention. She begins to realize how much she relied on the comfort of knowing you'd be there, ready to respond at a moment's notice. Here's the truth. When you stop texting, you're not doing anything wrong. You're not playing a mind game. You're simply stepping back and letting her deal with the discomfort of not having your constant presence. This discomfort can be a wake-up call for her. It forces her to face the reality that she may have taken you for granted, or that she didn't value the connection as much as she thought she did. The important thing to remember is that her panic is a reflection of her emotional state, not your responsibility. It's not your job to fix her panic or reassure her that everything is fine. By pulling away, you're showing her what it feels like when she loses access to your attention. It's a powerful move because it forces her to realize her own feelings and think twice about her behavior. So, when she panics, understand that this emotional chaos is not your problem. It's part of the process of you creating space and letting her reflect. Whether she reaches out or not, that panic signals a change in the dynamic, one that could lead to her realizing just how important your presence in her life really was. 3. She'll start chasing. And she won't like that. When you stop texting her, she's going to notice. She might try to act like she doesn't care at first, but deep down, she's going to feel the absence of your attention. And here's the thing. Women are wired to chase what they can't have. When you withdraw and stop texting her, she starts to feel like you're slipping away, and it triggers something in her mind. She feels the urge to chase. Now, you might think that this is exactly what you want, right? For her to chase you, for her to suddenly realize what she's missing. But here's the truth. When she starts chasing, it's not as glamorous or satisfying as you might think. The chase isn't about romance or spark. It's about restoring a balance, filling a void, and dealing with her own insecurities. At first, she might reach out, send you a few texts, or try to initiate conversations. She might even seem eager, but here's where it gets tricky. When she's chasing, she's no longer coming from a place of genuine desire. She's reacting to the fear of losing something she values. She's chasing because she wants to regain control, not because she truly misses you or craves your attention. She's chasing out of desperation, not passion. When she starts to chase, the dynamics change. She's no longer the one who's sought after. She's the one doing the chasing, which often doesn't feel as fulfilling. It's a role reversal that doesn't sit well. When someone starts chasing, it's a sign that the emotional imbalance has shifted and she's no longer sure of her place in your life. And here's the thing. This chase can create a lot of frustration for both of you. She'll start questioning her approach, wondering if she's being too eager or coming on too strong. She might even start overthinking every interaction. She might not like how it feels to be the one pursuing instead of being pursued. It creates tension. The chase can be exciting for a moment, but over time it becomes exhausting. For you, it might feel like a win in the short term, but the truth is you're not winning by making her chase. The emotional power shift isn't about her genuinely wanting you back. It's about filling the void you left. She's chasing, but it's not coming from a place of attraction. It's rooted in insecurity. What often happens is that as soon as she realizes that the chase isn't as satisfying as she thought, she starts to pull back. She realizes that this kind of pursuit feels forced. She starts second-guessing whether the effort is worth it, especially if she feels like you're not putting in the same level of energy. The key here is recognizing that the chase, while it may seem like a victory, isn't what you really want in the long term. If she's chasing you because she's fearful of losing you, that's not genuine attraction, it's desperation. And while it might feel satisfying to have her wanting your attention again, you have to ask yourself, do you really want her to be coming back because she feels like she's losing control? Chasing isn't the answer. Real attraction is built on mutual respect, desire, and emotional connection. When you pull away and she starts chasing, understand that it's not about love or genuine desire. It's about power, control, and emotional reaction. It can feel satisfying for a moment, but it won't lead to the kind of genuine connection you're looking for. So, while she may start chasing, recognize that it's not the victory you think it is. It's a sign of insecurity, not a sign of true attraction. And when she realizes the chase isn't as rewarding as she thought, that's when things start to get complicated. 4. She'll overanalyze every moment you shared. When you stop texting her, she's going to start reflecting on everything. The good moments, the bad moments, and every conversation in between. She'll overanalyze every single thing you shared, wondering where things went wrong. Was it something she said? Was it something she did? Did she push you away? In fact, she might even begin to question her own actions in ways that are completely unnecessary. Now, here's the thing. You might be thinking, well, this is great. She's thinking about me, right? Sure, she's thinking about you, but overanalyzing everything can be a double-edged sword. It means that she's no longer looking at the situation clearly or rationally. She's caught in the web of her own thoughts, spinning around trying to make sense of why you stopped texting. And when she's stuck in that overthinking loop, she becomes confused. She starts placing blame on herself or misinterpreting small details, which only complicates things further. Here's where men need to wake up and understand something. When you pull away and leave her to overanalyze, you're allowing her to live in a fantasy land of what-ifs and maybes. And that's dangerous. Why? Because you're letting her create a story in her head about what went wrong. You're allowing her to fill in the blanks with her own assumptions, and trust me, those assumptions are never as simple or straightforward as they seem. The truth is, overanalyzing is an emotional trap. Men, you need to realize that this is where things can get dangerous for you. When she overanalyzes, she's not just thinking about what happened. She's reworking the narrative in her mind, sometimes making you the villain without realizing it. She may come to conclusions that aren't true at all, and this can damage the trust that was once there. Now, you've created a situation where she's doubting herself, doubting you, and doubting the entire relationship. It's frustrating for both of you, but here's the truth. This is not a healthy way to deal with a relationship. It's time to wake up. By pulling away and leaving her to stew in her thoughts, you're playing with fire. The longer she stays in this overanalyzing state, the harder it will be to fix things down the line. Overanalyzing is not just about her wanting to know what went wrong. It's about her emotionally getting stuck in a place that she can't get out of without communication from you. Men, if you've ever found yourself in a situation where she's overanalyzing and you're not stepping in to clarify things, you're letting her go down a rabbit hole that may cause more harm than good. Don't assume she'll come to the right conclusions on her own. She won't. Her mind will play tricks on her, and she'll end up painting a picture that's far worse than reality. So don't just let her live in this space of confusion and doubt. If you want her back, if you want to clear the air, you need to take control. Yes, you pulled away, but now it's time to step in and communicate openly. Don't let her overanalyze herself into a corner where she's lost all faith in you. You owe it to both of you to clear up any misunderstandings before things spiral out of control. This overthinking is a red flag. It's a signal that both of you need to start having real, honest conversations. If you don't step up and address it, you're allowing her to continue down a path that leads nowhere but more confusion. Overanalyzing is a trap, and it's up to you to help her out of it. Don't leave her there to figure things out alone, because if you do, you may never get her back. 5. She'll miss you more than she'll ever admit. When you stop texting her, you're creating a void that she doesn't know how to fill. At first, she might act like she doesn't care. She may tell herself that it's no big deal, that she's fine, and maybe she even tries to convince herself that you were never that important. But deep down, as the silence stretches on, she'll start to feel a growing sense of loss. And trust me, this feeling is going to hit harder than she'd ever want to admit. Now let's be clear here. She's not going to show it right away. She might act indifferent, like she's moving on, but that's just her pride talking. The reality is, the longer you don't text her, the more she's going to start to feel the absence of your attention. You see, women are wired to seek connection and validation, and when a man who once gave her that suddenly disappears, it leaves a hole. And no matter how much she tries to convince herself otherwise, she'll begin to realize how much she misses you. But here's the thing. She's not going to come out and admit it. Her pride won't let her. Women often struggle with showing vulnerability, and admitting she misses you feels like admitting weakness. She'll want to keep up the facade of being strong, independent, and totally fine without you. In fact, she might even try to downplay her feelings, pretending that she's over it. But in reality, she's fighting the urge to reach out, to fill that void with your presence again. This is where men get it wrong. They think that because she's not texting first or showing visible signs of missing them, that means she's moved on. But the truth is, she's just trying to protect her pride. She doesn't want to look desperate or weak, so she hides how much she's actually feeling the loss. But every day that passes without communication, she's reminded of what's missing. As time goes on, she'll start to replay all the good memories you shared. She'll remember the moments when you made her feel special, the times when your attention made her feel validated and desired. She'll begin to realize that she took those moments for granted, and now, without your texts, she's faced with the uncomfortable reality that she's not as okay as she thought. But here's the thing. As much as she misses you, she's not going to chase you down, not right away anyway. She'll wait for you to make a move. And that's when men make the mistake of thinking that the woman has lost interest or moved on completely. But the truth is, when a woman misses you, she's not going to show it. Her pride will hold her back, and she'll wait, silently hoping you'll break the silence first. So, what should you do? Well, if you're trying to re-engage, remember that she's going through an internal battle of her own. She misses you, but she's not going to admit it easily. Your silence has made her realize the depth of her feelings for you, and now she's left wondering if you still care. If you want to win her back, it's time to step up, but don't expect her to come running after you. Instead, be the one to reach out, show that you care, and don't let her pride keep you apart. In the end, she'll miss you more than she'll ever admit, but it's up to you to decide whether or not you'll give her the opportunity to express it. Take charge of the situation, because if you don't, she might just let her pride win, and that could be the end of it. But if you do it right, you might just reignite that spark and remind her of why she was drawn to you in the first place. Here's the truth, and it might sting a little. When you stop texting her, you become more valuable to her than when you were constantly available. That's the reality, and it's something a lot of men won't admit. We're taught to chase, to pursue, and to keep the lines of communication open, right? But the real power, the one that gets her to sit up and take notice, is when you step back. You see, women aren't as drawn to you when they have easy access to you. They want what they can't have. And by withdrawing, you put yourself back in the driver's seat. You stop being the man she expects to be constantly available, and instead you become the man who has his own life, who doesn't need her validation. That's when she begins to feel the shift, and when she starts missing you in ways she won't even admit to herself. This isn't about playing games or manipulation. It's about understanding human nature. We all value what we can't easily attain. When you stop texting her, you create that sense of mystery and intrigue that makes her want to earn your attention. It's a hard pill to swallow, but sometimes pulling away is exactly what you need to make her realize your worth. I want to hear from you. Have you ever stopped texting a woman and seen her reaction? Did she start chasing, or was she indifferent? Drop your experiences in the comments below, and I'll reach out personally to discuss how we can use these insights to build more powerful connections. Let's talk about this and create a real dialogue. You're not alone in figuring this out. I'm here to help.